Hi, it's Zeke with the Eastside Church of Christ in Baytown, Texas. Thanks for joining us for our Eastside 5 by 5 by 5 Bible reading for the week of January 10th through the 16th, 2021. This week's reading will take us through chapters 6 through 10 of the Gospel of Mark. And your daily reading is going to be filled with lots and lots of action. There's a lot of events that Mark covers in each chapter of his Gospel. As we continue in Mark chapter 6, sometimes in other places we read about how Jesus marveled at the depth of faith that he found in some people. But Mark 6 verse 6 remarks about Jesus' amazement at the lack of faith in the people at his hometown of Nazareth. Now Mark chalks up a lack of miracles in Nazareth to this lack of faith. But then again, a hometown boy doesn't always get the respect he deserves, right? And Jesus says so. Mark 6 also tells of John the Baptizer's imprisonment and then his subsequent beheading by Herod, all because John was brave enough to speak truth to power. What was the truth? The truth of Herod's adulterous marriage. Well, that was the end of the road for John, but I'm sure that it left a major impression on Herod. Later, away from Nazareth, Jesus is able to do many miracles, including feeding thousands with meager supplies. He walks on water. He heals many, many people. And apparently, maybe these people had much more faith than the skeptics in Jesus' hometown of Nazareth. In Mark 7, we see Jesus again tangling with the religious leaders of his day. Their authority rested not on the express word of God, but on traditions that were decided upon and then handed down by other respected men. Jesus calls them experts, but not in a good way. Later in the same chapter, we see Jesus' depth of tenderness as he heals the daughter of a woman who was a Gentile. After all this, the disciples still don't have a firm grasp of Jesus' power. So in chapter 8, Jesus again feeds many thousands from just a few loaves and fishes. Later, Jesus scolds them for their lack of understanding regarding the importance of the miracle. And in chapter 8, we see Peter in a rare shining moment. While others had erroneous ideas about just who Jesus was, Peter confesses Jesus' identity, the Christ, the Son of God. And then it seems just as quickly Peter reinserts his foot back into his mouth. Chapter 9 begins with a key promise in verse 1 from the lips of Jesus. This promise from Jesus devastates the error of premillennialism and the idea that somehow Jesus was unable to establish his kingdom. Later in chapter 9, Jesus is transfigured before a small select group of disciples who saw him, along with Moses and Elijah who appeared with him. But then the voice of God makes its appearance. And it makes the point that Jesus is the one who matters now. This is my beloved Son, God said. Listen to him. Then, again, Jesus foretells of his impending torture and death. But as he always does, he also includes the fact that he'll rise again. He'll be resurrected. A key piece of information that the disciples always seem not to notice. In chapter 10, Jesus gives some clear teaching about divorce and remarriage. And while many seem overly focused on the exception clause, which allows remarriage, we shouldn't miss the focus of the main teaching, which is, if you're married, stay married. Finally, as Jesus and his disciples approach Jerusalem, he, yet again, tells of the suffering that awaits him. But the thick-headed disciples seem more interested in who will occupy key places in Jesus' kingdom. And there's a lesson for us here. Are we more interested in our own importance or in Jesus? As you're spending your 5 minutes in reflection each day, think about the lessons that are taught in each one of the chapters that you read. Each chapter that exalts Jesus, that shows his power, as well as his love and tenderness for those who come to him for help. And as you spend your 5 minutes a day in prayer, pray that God will help you to become more like that man from Nazareth who got little to no respect. I hope that you'll find much to reflect on and to pray about in your 5 by 5 by 5 Eastside Bible reading. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time. God bless you.